Okay, we're live on my side. Hi, guys. Kordanowski here with Jason Douglas, the mastermind, the visionary, the genius behind Common Sense News and Entertainment.
And we're going live on Facebook too as we speak. 2, 1. I like the little countdown they do. Welcome to us. Whoa, I have the camera reversed. Sorry about everybody. Welcome to Common Sense News and Entertainment, and along with a joint venture with Yankee T News once again here on beautiful Friday night, July the 10th, 2026. And here we go. We're going to pick up right where we left off last time around. And as we know, I'll be here on Friday and Saturday nights where we go over, well, life.
Yeah, I'll say.
Life so, as we know it.
All right. So I feel the need to bring up election fraud again.
Okay.
Only because a gentleman named Jim Hoft, who's one of the co-founders of Gateway Pundit.
Who I've met before.
Right. Oh, you did? Okay. Well, there's Jim and Joe. I think
Joe's who I met.
They're twins, right?
Oh, wow. Peachy.
So you would have met Joe, but Jim, and when you look at them, they do kind of look different. In any event, he published an article following the hard work of a number of citizens in Michigan who have, as we like to say, brought the receipts on election fraud in Michigan out of, trying to remember what the number was. Anyway, oh God, screwing this up. It's a number well in excess of 56,000. So found 56,000 fraudulent absentee ballots.
Wow.
That's a big number.
That's a huge number.
All right. And that's for Michigan, and P.S., that is just for the city of Detroit.
Wow.
Okay. So expect more. But again, you see, you were given this information. And as far as I'm concerned, whoever's responsible for this, in my mind, is guilty. But there's still a process, okay? A judicial process that we're all going to get dragged through because it's going to take a long time. But so there's that piece of news. And I want to remind you about the other piece of news was where the Department of Justice announced that it was assigning hundreds, if such a thing is even possible, hundreds of more analysts to look at the papers that they confiscated from the Fulton County Board of Elections in Georgia. Okay, that's big. I mean, if they're doing that, then they feel like they've got something, but it's so bad, so extensive, they have to put more people on it.
Hundreds, you even said.
If I read the article correctly, yes. I still,
What does that mean for the other state? Georgia, we know there's election fraud going on in more than just Georgia. That gives you an idea of what the enormity of the situation is.
Right, but Georgia just, I mean, if you follow this, so just another example of how bad Georgia is. Aha.
Guest stars here.
All right, your executive producer seems to be trying to tell you something.
Yeah, she can't understand why we stare at these weird contraptions all the time.
Right. Yeah, so as an example, I would say about 2 years ago, there are about 34,000 sworn affidavits, okay, were submitted to the state of Georgia, specifically the Secretary of State's office. And these 34,000 people had sworn that they saw, quote, election irregularities that needed to be investigated.
That's a pretty good witness pool.
Yeah, that's pretty big. And totally ignored. Totally ignored, right? So this is who we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, unfortunately, when you look at the government more broadly, you just begin to see too many examples where they will just deny, ignore, deflect,
Stonewall.
Yep. Change the narrative in some fashion. And that's been very true with election fraud in Georgia. And I think Georgia, of all the states, will turn out to be the worst of all in terms of the depth of venality. And it's a depth of venality so bad that the Republicans will turn out to have been a part of it as well.
And I would suggest that, yes, it probably is very bad in Georgia. Right. But it's more like, isn't it under the category of, oh, well, they just got caught? I mean, look at some of the deep blue states like California and Illinois and here in Connecticut, right? It's hard to believe that the people, the rank and file workers of those states they live a lot of conservative lives, just like in other states, and we know how deep rooted the election fraud is in the deep blue states.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't that dumb in New York City to elect a guy like Mondami.
Right. So the problem is with Connecticut, there's a pattern that's very familiar, but nobody has, quote, done anything about it. Maybe it's up to us. I don't know, because it's kind of weird. You take Linda Sinkowitz and what she's been doing with election fraud. She's attacked the most fundamental issue, which is cleaning up the voter rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this other dimension where they're getting away with murder in that.
Literally and figuratively.
Let's just say the election gremlins come out around 9 o'clock on election night, and all of a sudden ballots start showing up mysteriously.
Yeah,
yes,
true.
And cats start showing up mysteriously.
Cats start showing up seriously. But no, I mean, it's not just voter fraud; it's also election fraud. So both different things.
Well, in my mind, they are, and so this is election fraud, and it's what I regard as, quote, institutional election fraud.
All
right. I guess she wants your attention.
That's okay. We can still function here. Oh, I know what she wants to do. We got this. I know.
What, you got a snack there?
She's quite concerned about the affairs of the nation, just like we are, and she has a few comments she would like to add.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Tell us.
And there was a little bit of misinformation today.
What's that?
I got a weird text message saying that Susan Collins had finally decided to vote for passing the SAVE Act.
Really? And that's not true?
Well, I haven't heard anything else. Have you heard anything else?
Well, that would have been breaking news if it was true.
Yeah. So
is that the only vote we need? I thought we need 3 votes for that.
I don't know.
Is it all being held up just by Susan Collins? Really?
Well, it may be several Republicans who are dragging their feet. And
I guess this guy Ratner, what's his name? This commie guy, they're finally dropping out of the race up there.
Oh, Plattner,
thank you.
All right.
Well, this guy is, huh?
The press on this guy is really weird because you've had these, multiple efforts to, quote, sully his name. It could be misinformation. He's denied. I think there was one or oh yes. So the point has been made. First, we find out that he cheated on his girlfriend, or wife, or whoever she is, abused her physically, and in addition, he was sexting a number of other women.
Yeah,
and that was still not enough to get him out of the race.
And now after that, there were accusations of unlawful restraint and other aggressive actions toward women.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
And coming from both parties, by the way, both Democrat and Republican women have come forward in this.
Okay, well, there had to be this pile-on to finally get him out is really a sad comment for the Democrat Party itself, in my opinion.
Well, it opens up the door for them to bring another candidate in that doesn't have such a jaded past. That might be more of a threat, actually.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see who they come up with. So this, what was her name? Susan Mills, the governor of.
It's a sad state of affairs that we're dealing with this kind of base level in our candidacies in any party. It's called.
That's been one of the problems. They just don't have their bench. In so many areas, for reasons I do not understand, the Democrat bench is not deep, but somehow they managed to pluck out some candidate and push him over.
Barely a candidate. So the idea that what it is, I'll tell you what it is. You ever read about I've read a little bit about what Karl Marx was like as a person, not just about his philosophy.
Well, not a good person.
A bad guy. He was cussing and cursing out everybody who came around. And you know what it is? If you believe wholeheartedly in something like communism or socialism, that pretty much tells you what kind of person you are to begin with, really. Now, that's different from people who are falling for the Kool-Aid.
Well,
like young people falling for the Kool-Aid. That's a little different versus somebody who knows what they're talking about, like a scum like Chris Murphy, for example. Knows exactly what he believes in. And I heard that Chris Murphy is a jerk behind the cameras, too.
Yeah.
So these guys are jerks. They're just bad people.
Okay, well, this
is keep fooling around, really.
All right. Well, there's a general pattern. We've seen this. There have been books written by Secret Service agents about how Republican presidents have always been polite and considerate, and Democrat presidents and their wives have been the worst to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Heard about Hillary Clinton, how she was to deal with when she was running for president.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do not look at me.
But yet they're good at being plastic in front of the camera, though. You see.
Oh yeah, of course. So they obviously feel that they're part of a special, dare I say, protected.
They're elitist. Isn't that what makes Donald Trump so interesting? That's kind of what makes Donald Trump so interesting. President Trump is the opposite.
He is.
He'll go right on the camera and tell you to go yourself. And then behind the scenes, he's the nicest guy, from what I hear. He's a really nice, down-to-earth guy and polite as can be. And he'll go on TV and rip you a new one.
Right. Well, another part of this, first of all, from New York City, Queens, and second of all, he built his empire on working with blue-collar people, the people in the trades. All right. And I think because he did what's called management by wandering around. So he'd go to the job site and he'd talk to people, listen and learn from them. Okay. He was not the person to remain in his ivory tower telling other people what to do with these people. He got there down and dirty, straight with them. Oh, by the way, so here's another interesting piece. Donald Trump's grandfather.
Really?
In other words, his father's father. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready. I might have heard this
before. The link. Somebody did a great video on the life story of his grandfather. Fred, not Fred, might have been Fred.
Old Fred Trump.
Yeah, because Fred was his father's name. But then his grandfather, I think, was also a Fred. In any event, he came from, I want to say, Germany. And
yeah, I always wondered with the name Trump. What kind of a nationality is that, Trump?
Yeah. He it might be Dutch. I'm not sure. In any event,
could make sense.
So he, his grandfather, got in on, hold on to your hat, the Klondike Gold Rush.
Oh, no kidding.
No kidding. However,
maybe that's how they got their cash originally. Trump started off with $1 million. Trump didn't start off with nothing.
Okay, the old truism is when you have some new exciting thing going on, it's the people who sell the picks and shovels to make the money.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of truth to that, huh?
The other guys, they think they're going to make the money, but they need the equipment. So you're the guy there selling them the equipment. So he did that. He opened a restaurant and a hotel. And are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
In the journey to the Klondike, there was a split in the trail. I can't remember the name of the two trails. I think one was White River. I forget what the other one was. He took the White River one. So that's how far up on the journey he was, and that's where he set up this essentially a camp that was a restaurant and a hotel. And these exhausted travelers would come in. And they were just thrilled to be able to get a hot meal and have a place to rest.
Wow.
And so, yes, a number of his customers did.
Sounds like an episode of Newhart.
Yeah, a number of customers did pay in gold. Okay, so he accumulated quite a bit of gold. Now, I don't know how long he did this, but at some point he decided to move east. So he went to New York City to set up shop. And so I believe he was the one who started by investing in real estate in New York.
Wow.
And then his son, Fred, learned from daddy. And then his son, Donald, learned from his daddy. And as they say, the rest is history.
My understanding is Fred Jr., I guess, gave Donald $1 million when he was 18 and said, this is all you're getting. Do what you're going to do with it. Trump turned it into billions of dollars.
Yeah, he understood. He'd seen it.
That's kind of fair if you think about it. What would you do if you were super, super rich and you had a son? Would you just make it too easy for him? No, but you don't want to leave him with nothing either. So I think that's the right thing to do. I'm going to give you a pretty good amount of money, but that's it. Now you're going to have to do something with that.
Right. Well, another point to make is that when a piece of advice is when a young person is trying to figure out what to do with his or her life, the secret is, well, what were you doing between the ages of 14 and 17 that was of interest to you?
Mhm.
That would be your most likely career path. And I think that since he was exposed to real estate as a young man, it was sort of an obvious choice. I think his father could see that in him
No, it's a smart choice. A lot of money in it.
and said,
Land is the only thing that doesn't depreciate
uh,
in accounting.
that's not quite true. I mean,
Well, it's close to it. I took accounting classes, and in accounting, that is the only thing that you can buy that you don't assign a depreciation equation to when you do your accounting. It does not depreciate.
Well, that wouldn't be true either.
Well, it is true. What else doesn't depreciate?
No, for a house, I believe there's a 40-year depreciation schedule that you can apply to your taxes.
But there is a depreciation schedule.
Right.
But for land, there is no depreciation schedule. Just land, not the house, the land.
Okay. All right. So the
buy an empty lot, say. There's no depreciation. After all, it's land. It does. Why would it depreciate? It's always going to be there.
That's right. They aren't making any more, but farmland has a history. Okay, but farmland prices have a history of fluctuating.
Sure, price is different. Price can go up and down, but depreciation is a whole different, right? Right. But real estate's always been a good thing to get into. Obviously, Donald Trump made the best of it, and I took a seminar a few years ago on flipping homes.
Yeah.
And I still have the notebook from it. I could always start it anytime I want. It taught you to do it independently. In other words, you get your own investors in line, you get your own real estate agents in line, you get your own contractors in line, and broker the whole thing. And the first time you do it, it's a pain in the ass. It takes forever, and you make a chunk of change at the end, but it's really hard. But what happens is you get better at it, you do more of them, and you start to compartmentalize the tasks. You start flipping 5-10 homes at a time. Next thing you know, you're rich, basically, is what it is. And you're doing it mostly by brokering it, just by using the phone, essentially.
Okay, that would probably be true.
Sounds like a great plan. I just, like I said, I'm already running one company, so.
Right. So there is a property that I've looked at for the last several years, and it just, it's a no-brainer in terms of a flip, but the risks are considerable, and it's enough to make you think twice.
Did you know that, and I'm going to ask you, see if you know this, you're a real estate guy.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that if you're selling a home or flipping a home, the home's empty essentially. But if you use staging furniture, that you can sell the home for prices up to 25% or 20 to 25% more, and you sell the home at a much faster rate by using staging furniture.
Well, there's staging, and then there's a lot of advice on which parts of the house to refurbish. And which are a waste of time. So, for example, a fire pit is a waste of time for improving the value of a house. But time and again, when you redo the kitchen or the bathroom, dollar for dollar, you get a more bang for your buck on reselling the house. Mm-hmm. That's one example. Or others, things like gutters.
No, I mean, like if someone's looking at a house, if the house has staging in it versus a house that's empty, it gives the buyer a little bit more of a vision, and it's more likely to sell the home.
Yes, I would agree with that. But for reasons, I'm not quite sure why this is, but so I happen to know somebody who does staging, and so she's doing, I guess, generally okay. But I can tell you from when I'm constantly checking expired listings and new listings and stuff, I would say at best 5 to 10% is staged. The rest is just
that's what most people don't do. Right. Yeah. Well, what I was taught was that it's worth whatever the extra money it is to do the staging is well worth it. So,
well, it's worth testing because you do find that there are, I'm going to say at least 10% of the houses that go on the market can sit there for a year or more. And
really, even in Connecticut, because in Connecticut, stuff's going out in days and weeks now. So
oh,
people
yeah.
are offering more than the asking price still.
Yes, well, that's true. That may be, well, the properties that are highly desired will get the above asking price. But that said, so let me give you an example. So last year I had done an analysis of the sales in Guilford, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at 40 properties, and so that was April and May. And how do I want to put this? 80% of the properties sold in 20 days or less.
Oh, wow.
Right. So then you had a few more that took 20 to 40 or 20 to 50 days. But then after that, you had this handful that just did not move. Okay. Now, the most typical reason that happens is almost every time, the owner is asking too high a price.
Yeah.
Okay. Other people can look. There's something called a CMA, comparative market analysis, and it's right there, on a square foot basis, on an age of the house basis, on a repair status basis.
Well, the way they pick up our baseball statistics nowadays, I can only imagine what the way they pick up our real estate statistics these days, right? Through the roof.
There's a lot of analytics to consider. But all of that said, it still comes down to some very basic standard measures. So, for example, the ratio of the asking price to the assessed value. If so you divide the assessed value, which is a smaller number, into the asking price.
Mm-hmm.
If that is more than roughly 2.5, then the price of the house is too high.
Well,
that said, I know of two cases where it was off the chart. I mean, two cases where you had people asking outrageous prices for their houses. They took them off the market, brought them back on again, and guess what? They got those outrageous prices.
Well, yeah, I know, and that's the state of real estate in Connecticut. But I understand it's getting. What I'm understanding is getting better. So there's more houses going on the market, and the supply and demand thing is starting to improve. This is key. This is fundamental to me in the battle between the state and the family that I always mention. You can't form a family effectively if you can't afford a house.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that's why there's less children being born and whatnot.
All right. Boy, it'd be nice
this stuff's important. It's not just about economics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I have found is that you're going to find mostly condo units and such in the roughly 150,000 to say 300,000 range.
Yeah.
And you'll find a few houses that are like 200 plus. That would be the bottom of the market.
Yeah. How many are 200 plus in Connecticut these days? Not too many. Not too many turnkey places.
Let me just see here while you're talking. Since we've gone down this road, I don't know if I can do this. Give it a try. Give it a try here.
Look at. I'm gonna let Facebook people see my cat. Look at this little baby.
Yeah, I'll have to do it later. No,
something to do later.
No, when I look at the properties, you're going to see a full range. You're going to see stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy a shotgun shack for 175 still, probably.
They show up and for even less, but they're rare. But it happens. And then the question, but those things typically have issues of one kind or another.
I know I have a friend who recently sold his house, and it was a nice house.
Yeah.
Good size Cape, nothing too special. Well over $400,000 though.
All right. So why wasn't I his listing agent?
Because he did it without me knowing about it until it was done. That's why.
All right.
Little sucker.
Some spy network I have. Anyway, all right. So we mentioned election fraud in Georgia. Didn't talk about Arizona. That's supposedly moving along. Wisconsin is kind of out there, but we're still waiting. And maybe Michigan will move center stage at some point. But it's still.
It's just Lindas, the Lindas, and the Joe.
That's right. Gonads and stripes, says Eric, when it comes to flipping homes. Yeah, it's a real you have to, it's the old saying, you have to have money to make money. And I would say it's more true in real estate than just about any other place.
Well, this plan that I studied you didn't really have to come up with a lot of money on your own. It was about convincing real estate investor, what do they call them, short-term investor? I forget what the term for it is. They put the money in, they don't get anything back for 2 years, and then they get back a certain percentage all at once.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to be ready to deal with unexpected problems.
You basically have to you have to have $5,000 of your own, basically, so you could have a little bit of skin in the game, but you don't need much more than that, according to this plan. This guy was like a former player for the Green Bay Packers, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
seems reasonable, but you got to have gift of gab too. You got to be able to talk a good game, and you got to have something going on, sales and things like that.
There's
everybody.
I would say it helps to know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
not just know what it is, but relay it properly, I guess.
Well, let me just describe this property that constantly obsesses me. So there's a driveway, a garage and a house. The house burned down, but the garage is still there. And it's sold for $160,000. And eventually the owner turned around and resold it to somebody else for $220,000.
And how much time went by between those two?
Oh, I'd say a year.
Oh, wow.
And it's 3 acres. Okay. It's supposed to be a river, but it's really a muddy pond that kind of goes through there in the bottom of it. Part of it's in a floodplain, which is always seen as an insurance issue. I would say that it's a place that, quote, has potential for a person who has the right vision for landscaping, but start adding up the money in terms of what it's going to take to do those things. It's substantial. And the problem is what can go wrong. It's always about what can go wrong. So if you don't have the buffer to handle those sudden problems, then you're going to be in dire straits. I'll give you another example to consider. Down the road a piece here on Route 80, there's a gentleman. His name is Alan Neary. He's a part of a construction family. And for the longest time since I arrived here in Killingworth 6 years ago, there has stood a beat-up little shack on a piece of land right on the border with Deep River.
Okay.
Finally, about a year and a half ago, he decided to get to work on it. It's been a case of stop and start construction all the way along. Okay. So I think somewhere he finally decided to bite the bullet and go for it. But I think he would run out of money. He would have to stop. Somehow he managed to get more money from other work he was doing, and then he was able to start again. And that's been the pattern. And right now, I would say it's maybe 2/3 done.
Oh, okay.
It's
away, as they say.
Yeah. And so by contrast, somebody who I think was better off financially up on another road had built a house. They worked on it for 8 months maybe, and finally finished it. And it's been there. It looks great. And I think that guy was in a better position because they didn't stop. They kept them when they started. They
had more money. But it's also one of the things, and in analyzing the seminar I took, actually, success in doing it that way is dependent on, like you talked about, things that can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So success isn't that to minimize that risk. Your success is depending on having very reliable, good, competent contractors, very reliable, good, competent real estate agents, bankers, whatever. So, and in this day and age, you know how things are go these days with finding good help. That's a tough thing to do.
Right. Well, you left one out. Flipping houses is a young man's game.
Yeah.
Okay. If you really expect to make money on it, you better be ready to put in some sweat equity.
Some of your own work, right? Especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's about real estate investment more than real estate flipping. So, and that was what they said. The first few you're doing yourself, but as time goes on, you're delegating more, and eventually you're doing them a bunch of them. You're just working.
Well, no, I think it's also about real estate knowledge. You know, you're going to have to be a jack of all trades in the sense that you have some understanding of carpentry, some understanding of electrical, some understanding of sheetrocking, some understanding of plumbing. Okay, some understanding of electronic systems.
Kind of like starting a news network. You got to know a little bit about everything.
Funny thing, you noticed, right? Yeah. Well, there you go. So, it kind of frustrates me. I look at it and say, I wish I'd done this 30 years ago.
But sometimes I think like that. But you know, it gets to the subject of online technology and security and things like that. And so, for instance, I started a new Facebook account for Common Sense News Entertainment. I linked it to my personal one, and it should be simple to just go ahead, and I have somebody that I've hired now that's going to go in and promote it. But just to get logged into it is pretty much, you know, I'm on Facebook. It's in my phone, but when I order to do this, I have to use my login and password. It just doesn't want to let me do it.
Well, why should you? That's a small thing to complain about.
Well, it's been going on for weeks, and then you know the problem you and I are having with getting you looked up on the company bank account. It's been a nightmare. It's been these things should be simple to do, and they've become so difficult. And I don't know what if it's because of cybersecurity or just incompetence or what.
Yeah, no, it's cybersecurity.
I'll tell you what's literally happening, because I had a password written down, and it said it wasn't taking the password for whatever reason. So I have no choice but to say, okay, forgot my password, let's reset it. So I hit forget my password, and the next screen that comes up and says, okay, we can set your password. Please just tell what your password is first. Well, but I don't know my password. That's why I needed to reset it. Let's try this again. Boom. Okay, just please send me your password. Then we'll help you reset your password. What is the point? Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's crazy.
Right. Well, I have to reset my password. Yes, it happened. I've seen that happen. So that's what we'll call a design flaw. I mean, with the real estate systems that we use, Berkshire Hathaway systems, and resetting my password is not an issue. Twitter, not an issue. You know, these others, it's if I have to do it. Yeah, but then we run into an example like that where, boy, is it a problem. Anyway, let me just spend a minute on our favorite friend, Iran.
Before we go to Iran real quick, though.
What?
Before we go to Iran real quick, because this is related to what we were just talking about. I have a theory.
Yeah.
You know about the IQ test, right? The IQ test is based on the average of 100. So the average intelligence is supposedly 100. So anything above 100 represents smarter. Anything below represents obviously less smart. And to the point where it's a tight scale. So, you know, 85 and below, you could be considered a ward of the state and not even be able to take care of yourself. So the average is supposed to be 100. But I submit to you that since the COVID, we've slipped. Like the average is more like 92 now or 93. It's not 100 anymore. We've slipped significantly in competence, cognitive ability, just basic things. And I base this on people not reading emails and simple instructions in my work, on my line of work, at a level of like 30 to 40%, whereas that level was once like 10% or 5%.
Well, for what it's worth, I did do the report on it's a group called the OECD. It's a European agency, organization for economic. I hope I got the economic cooperation and development. Is that right? In any event, that's weird. The report that came out, a 547-page report, by the way, looked at this question about whether or not, they found that a substantial number of college students are only able to read at the 5th grade level.
That's amazing.
So they looked at 38 countries.
But they know how to hate Donald Trump, though.
Yes. So they looked at 38 countries. So that would have been all of Europe and then America, Canada. And they found that on average, it was 5% of college students in all these colleges that were reading at the 5th grade level. America, make it 15%.
That's terrible.
Right. Now, an argument, of course, is
there's probably another 30% reading at the 8th grade level.
Something like that. Yes. So you go.
Just,
I mean, the real question then is what percent are reading at the college level who are in college, and maybe half.
Less than half. You know, and it's not just reading; it's coherence.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reading.
I'll send something to somebody and say A, B, C, and then they'll write back to me and say, "Okay, A and B." I'm like, "Well, what about C?"
Yeah, I know. I get that all the time.
Oh, like at a rate that is alarmingly high in the last 5-6 years compared to what it was before that.
Yeah, no, there's a problem, and
Big time.
COVID might be
almost like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in real life.
Yeah. So we have to bear down on education then, even harder.
That's where the rubber meets the road, and almost in everything we talk about, we'll all be decrying the rise of socialism and the threats our country's facing. It's education is in our element. It's in our elementary schools and middle schools, especially, and also, of course, in our high schools and colleges, where this battle is where it will be won. If we don't fix what we're teaching our kids, we'll never solve this problem.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I set this up several ways. The bad actor in this whole drama, of course, is public education. Now, when I was going to school, people turned their noses up at parochial schools.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No. If you want a good
education, you also have yes, public schools, but also a lot of state colleges and the professors. And this problem goes back 60, 70 years, honestly, with what these kooky professors are teaching college kids these days. I mean, that goes back quite a ways.
Yeah. So, and again, I think you're going to find this as a mix. Yeah, the vast majority of these professors are libtards of various kinds, but you will find some that attempt to be objective, even if they do lean left.
There
are a few. Okay,
there's always a few. But how do we let this? What is this? Just a phenomenon of human nature, or how do we let this happen? How do we let so many? Why is it that 94% of the curriculum in our colleges are left wing and not only 6% are conservative? Why is that?
Right. Well, as one person said, it was in I'm going to say it was the 70s. It could have been the early 80s. Conservatives abandoned the battle over education. Abandoned.
Why?
They left the field.
Why?
Didn't want to do that. Didn't want to make that fight. Whatever the problem. So yes, and then we see what happens. Well, now people
they must not have seen the sense of urgency at the time.
That's possible. So at the time there was this woman named Charlotte Iserbyt. Ever heard of her?
No.
She wrote a book called The Dumbing Down of America. Big, thick book.
Sounds like a smart book for a dumbing down.
So she worked in the Department of Education under Reagan. Okay. So she saw firsthand just what was going on, and she was sounding the alarm bells as a result. And she kept, sending the same message, and you had some other people picking up on it as well, and you're sort of slowly seeing the evidence of it. The thing is, the decline in public education, I think, was happening slowly.
Yes.
Until Obama came along.
And then it really started happening fast with that jerk off.
That's right. And so what's the lesson? The Department of Education was a malign influence on education in general in this country. So the fact that the Department of Education now is being put to death is a long overdue, needed remedy. But it's only the beginning. All right. So my judgment, because I'm dealing with this almost on a daily basis with the Greater Education Council of Connecticut, the sense. Okay, first of all, mixed blessing. When COVID hit, as a result of parents having to watch these Zoom classes for the kids doing it online, now finally the secret was out, and parents were horrified at what they saw. Not all. Some thought everything was just peachy keen when it was not. But enough, okay, depending on who you're talking to. to drive the number of kids who are being homeschooled, in the case of Connecticut, from about 3% to what some people think could be as high as 15% now. Okay, this is a number that was terrifying the teachers' unions. That's too many students leaving the system and going into homeschooling. And I can tell you that in Connecticut, the homeschooling community has become quite significant. And yes, we have a responsibility. That's you and me, Jason. We have a responsibility.
Another one?
Another one, to help support it, to help promote it, to, and
make that 15% into 20 and 25 and upward and onward.
That's right.
So, so just to give some people perspective, I went to Rockville High School. We had about 1,600 kids going there.
Yeah.
That means about 180 to 185 kids would have left the school to become homeschooled versus what was before. That's pretty awesome.
Okay, so I'll start with the more shocking statistic first. So the more shocking statistic, hold on to your hat, is if you follow the stuff about standardized testing scores, right? You think of SAT, ACT. There are others that are
SAT, the ACTS.
Yes, so that's
Proctor, so I know that area.
Right. So that's the college prep stuff. In the meantime, if you want to get a sense of the whole system, irrespective of whether you're bound for college or not, there are two. There's the NAEP scores, means the National Assessment of Educational Progress. This is a program that was passed by Congress in 1968. And then the other are niche scores, NICHE, stands for something. Niche is Connecticut-based, NAEP is national. Okay, and what they're supposed to do is measure your level of what is your grade appropriate level of literacy at the 4th grade and 8th grade levels in reading and math. Okay, and the information is not good. We have seen, especially since 2010, there has been an ongoing year-over-year decline in test scores in reading and literacy, okay, in Connecticut. Now, the picture is a little bit more complicated because, yes, there continue. I mean, the criticism that Connecticut has is two separate worlds. So the affluent and the poor. So you go to a poor town like Hamden, and yeah, the school system sucks. The school system in Stamford sucks. But then if you want a best system, then you go to Greenwich, you go to Darien, you go to New Canaan, Westport.
Durham.
All right. Would you call Durham excellent?
Durham's a rich town, from what I understand.
Okay. All right. So there's this, and the teacher's a whole other thing. All right. So you get this two-world system. Anyway, let me get to the point I want to make. Constantly assessing performance on racial grounds. Okay. Looking at standardized test scores for Asians, whites, Hispanics, and blacks. Okay. Now, we won't try to muddy the waters by talking about mulattoes, but if I can get away with this here. Okay, there's my hand. Okay. Come back here. All right. So listen. Oh, God.
When you pick your hand up, you pixelate.
Yeah. I
saw your hand and then your face disappeared.
All right. Well, so here comes the joke. All right. Top group, that's going to be the Asians in terms of
math, definitely.
All right. Now we go down a little. Where did I go? You know what? This is terrible. I'm about to make a terrible revelation here. I have to do this.
You're bringing up a chart.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, what in the 8? What?
There. All right.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Right. Okay. Now I can get away with this. All right. So way up here, Asians. Okay. Now we go down, whites. Down here, Hispanic. And then, oops, right off the screen. So bad. The black kids in terms of how they do. And that is over time. Over time. Consistently in these same stratified levels of
let's be clear. That's more of a reflection of the piss and education they're getting than it is in their ability.
Yes, well, you're giving me the perfect lead into the point I'm about to make. Okay, so somebody did some research on homeschooled black kids. So how did those homeschooled black kids do?
Better than anybody.
Pretty close. You ready? Okay, up here, the Asians. Next, the black kids who are homeschooled. Then the white kids in public school. And then the Hispanics and the blacks in public education. Okay? The black kids homeschooled outperformed the white kids and everybody else who was in public education. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, when I look at that, that to me is proof positive that our public education system is exhibit A when it comes to institutional racism.
Yep.
What else do you need? What else do you need? You know? And so this becomes an interesting point. I didn't consider this because in Guilford, Connecticut, we have this goofy superintendent named Dr. Paul Freeman, who's totally lost it. He is a maniacal nut over social justice teaching in the school system. Okay. And so I'm trying to understand this. It just, anyway, I don't want to go down that road with him.
Let's shift gears and talk about Iran.
All right, we'll get to Iran, but so the point I'm trying to make here is that homeschooling is in fact effective,
helpful,
okay, in getting kids educated. And the standard rap is that at a given age, kids who are homeschooled are 2 years ahead of their peers with the same age. So you're a fifth grader and you're going to public school, but you're quote fifth grader being homeschooled, you're going to be at the seventh grade level.
And it makes sense that you're dealing with people that parents and neighbors and friends that care very much about your education, whereas an institutionalized thing is just not the same.
No, it's not.
And of course, when you mention the far left influence, that throws it off the chart. So
yeah, so it's a combination of things. But the point I want to make is that I'm going to go out on a limb. I would say that the size of the homeschooling community in Connecticut is about 40,000, and that's spread all around the state. And we have there are homeschooling chapters in every single county in the state, and each one has at least a bare minimum of 1,500. I think some are like 5,000 or more members. So there is a community out there, but they're kind of scattered. So well, a dinner, a rally, a get together, a musical performance, whatever you want to call it.
So for that type of event organizing, I can definitely be task driven.
All right. Well,
but I can't organize them, but I can be task driven.
Right, well,
what do you need me to do? Go pick up this, do that, whatever.
I think we're going to have to push it.
We're going to have to push it, yeah.
All right. So on that happy note, Iran has more attacks. So here's the thing, though.
Newsflash. All
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, no, it's not. All right. I'm going to make the point and then start in on the strategic thing. Get ready for this one, Jason.
I'm ready.
We have more attacks going on in Iran.
Yeah, I know. We've been bombing the heck out of them again.
No.
Oh.
Not us.
Oh, Israel?
Nope.
Who's doing it?
They're not saying.
I saw a clip on the news.
There have been attacks, and nobody's taking any credit for them.
Oh, is that like so we don't know? It could be the Kurds. It could be internal.
No. All right. I mean, one should cast one's eyes suspiciously over to the UAE, to Bahrain. Okay. Now we have.
How about lovingly? Not suspiciously, but lovingly. If they're bombing Iran, it's like, hey, right.
All right. So this is a total surprise. You have people who aren't talking, but they're in there giving Iran the business. My goodness. Okay. Now, if you remember when we looked at the map of Iran, over on the Far East section at the north, there is a town called Mashhad.
Uh-huh.
Does that sound familiar?
What about it?
A lot of attacks are suddenly going on there.
Oh, that's an area that we were talking about earlier where they were smuggling things into the country to
Yes.
avoid our embargoes.
That's right. There have been at least 6 attacks just in that area.
You know, I saw a clip on the news recently, and one of them wasn't Tehran, but it was another major city in Iran. I can't remember what it was, but there was a whole crowd of people in the streets. They were chanting "Death to America."
Oh,
you know.
the latest is hashtag Kill Trump.
Yeah, I saw they had "Kill Trump" signs or whatever. Now listen, I know this is going to sound. I don't know how people are going to react to it. Is what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
But when I saw this crowd of people gathered around with their signs "Kill Trump," "Death to America,"
Yeah.
one of the things that came. It's not the only thing that came to mind, but one of the things that came to my mind is, you know what? Ba-boom, ba-boom.
Okay.
You know, these people all want death to America. Well, death to you then. We don't have room on this planet for that kind of crap. Mind your own business. You know, we would leave them alone if they would leave us alone. We would have.
No. Well,
so ba-boom. I mean, it sounds cruel. You're bombing a crowd of people on a city street, but these people all want us dead. So let's kill them first. I'm sorry. I've had it with this business. We should do a whole show about. We got to do a whole show about Islam, whether it's a legitimate religion or just a death cult.
Yeah. So there's a growing argument that
Not a legitimate religion.
Okay. So
how about this? Freedom of religion in America, even the ones that pledge to kill everybody else?
Yeah. No. Yeah,
no. The answer is no. But go ahead. What do you got up here, my man?
All right. Estimated costs imposed on Europe by Iran. So we have several categories. The costs imposed by migration, maritime costs, cyber intelligence costs, drug costs, defense costs, and banking costs. So, those
numbers seem small to me. I don't know why.
What seems small?
Those numbers, 18 billion, 20 billion. It seems I feel like it cost them a lot more than that, but I don't know. I don't know. But
there's a question. I mean, I would want to scrutinize these numbers more closely, but this is what Towsky TV put up, and. Okay, and he made the point. Nobody's asking the question. Nobody's looking at this. All right, but this relates to another point. All right, so let's just go through this. You see the numbers, mostly in the 20 billion range. So you have the handouts. I mean, so Iran has promoted or caused people to head to Europe. Shipping attacks, energy costs, inflation, insurance in the maritime sector. And the tracking of Iranian activity in Europe with all their terrorist cells and such. And I'm sure there's some other little things going on. I think there's an overlap here because with cyber intelligence, they're also going to have to track the drug cartels. You have Hezbollah is going to have some presence in Europe, but people don't talk about it very much. Kind of quiet.
Well, you look at these numbers and you ask yourself, why isn't Europe being more helpful in this fight? And you know what the answer is Europe has been infiltrated in a way by this migration and by, like, for instance, the mayor of London is a Muslim. I mean, I think we're getting to the point where there's an awful lot of evil influence in Europe. That's causing this problem, especially in Spain.
Well, it's a function of the people deciding to rise up, but you have too many people. So social democrats, European social democrats, are supposedly compassionate. They care about people who are downtrodden and have issues. And
the ones drinking the Kool-Aid, yeah.
Yes, you had to come from a war-torn country in which there's a lot of violence. So you're welcome to be here, and here's some welfare payments to help you get started. Of course, they never get off the welfare payments. The numbers just keep growing. And as a result, the other Europeans are being made poorer and poorer. It's an interesting question, Jason. You're aware of the statistic that just came out that the per capita income for people in England is lower than the poorest state in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that bad. Okay.
It's that bad.
All right.
Well, Europe, I mean, like I said, Europe is lost. Like when World War II came, Hitler had conquered France and Belgium, and he was bombing England. Europe almost had fallen.
Yeah.
But I would say this time around, Europe has fallen. I think the other side, this fascist side, has made more progress at this point in our history now than they had in 1942.
No, it's purely a function of what the people decide to do. All right. You do have, for example, I think of all the countries, I think France has it the worst, and because they have the highest percentage of Muslims in their country, which I think is hitting 12% or more. And you know,
they haven't shut the borders off yet over there, have they? Like
no,
they did here? No.
Although, as a side note, the point was made that there's been a dramatic drop off in the number of boats going across the English Channel to England. So still a problem, but it's being somehow reduced. And I'm not sure what's causing that, but that
maybe some good old chaps working on the shore taking matters into their own hands a little bit over there.
Would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay. So then, all right. So the money that's been 18 billion euros on drones and missile strikes. But that's where Europe is doing that against Iran. I don't know, but that was the claim. And then banking, evading sanctions using European banks. All right, that's definitely something that should be looked at, and we haven't heard jack squat about it. All right, so these are the costs that appear to be imposed by Iran on Europe, directly and indirectly. Okay, but I need to ask another question. It's a difficult question. From a geopolitical, or even dare I say, geoeconomic point of view, is Iran a net negative or a net positive on the rest of the world? So this is measured in part.
I think that's an easy question.
No, not so easy, because we do rely upon them for oil.
Do we really, though?
Well, not America.
No.
But Europe certainly does. You know, Europe and Asia.
What about Saudi Arabia? Don't they produce the most oil?
Okay, you have a number of exporters. You got Kuwait. You got Iran. What's Saudi Arabia?
Iran has a good chunk of the market.
Iran. Okay, so it's something like 15% of the oil that China uses comes from Iran. Okay, but on the other hand, it's 85% of the exported oil from Iran that goes to China. So the other 15% would be going to other countries.
That sounds like Iran needs China more than China needs Iran, especially when the United States is opening up its market to sell our own oil.
It would seem, but boy. And the thing is, there's so many other actions that could be taken. This is where, all right, so the question about whether or not Iran is a net negative, net positive in the rest of the world.
Economically speaking.
It's one thing, okay? But when we look at the ways in which they're terrorizing their neighbors and trying to cause problems,
too negative.
Yeah, that definitely becomes a big negative. So
yeah. So if you want to talk about strictly bottom line, and from the Chinese government standpoint, you can make an argument there. But if you just want to look at how Iran affects the entire world, and if you want to include economics and everything else, well, there's no way that question is hard. It's negative, 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 negative.
Right. Okay. So then it just seems obvious to me that if yes, you read my mind.
We should do anything short. I don't want to use nuclear weapons. No. Anything short of that it takes to take these people down, this mullah down, we should be doing.
All right. That said, you got to keep in mind what we have experienced with being in Iraq and Afghanistan. And remember, Iraq is on the western side and Afghanistan is on the eastern side.
Isn't that interesting poetic justice?
What?
Isn't that interesting poetic justice?
Well, yeah, but we learned the hard way. This shit ain't working, okay? And both of those countries have about the same amount of population, which is roughly 25 million. But Iran has 92 million.
Yeah, they have over 90, right?
Yes.
So look, the only thing the mullah understands, will ever understand, is baboon.
Well,
they're not going to understand the talks and negotiations. I think they're aware of that. I think we're aware of that.
Okay, we still find ourselves in the same troubling.
Why play the game?
Okay, same troubling place. What happens after you do that? Okay, it's not axiomatic that a new government, the right kind of government, will just take over after all of that.
No, but we've talked about this before. There are plenty of people in Iran look, the polls show that 85% of the people living in Iran do not approve of the mullah. So that should form the basis. I think it's almost under the category of let's just get rid of them now. We'll figure that out later.
Okay.
Even if it's because there's enough support there to to do it. Now, I get there's going to be a civil struggle. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But
it's more than
nothing's good with them. The mullah in charge. I mean,
no, it's not. It's more than a civil struggle. It's going to be a political struggle.
Sure, but let's have it.
All right.
Let's have the struggle without the mullah.
All right. I'm going to try this. Look at the challenges that come with reforming the screwed up Republican Party in Connecticut.
Well, I know.
All right. That's in a state of 3 million. Multiply that by 92 million.
I think there's a huge difference that you're overlooking, though.
What's that?
That the people of Iran, the 85% we're talking about, that they've been starved of freedom and economic viability for years and years and years. And they're trying to come out the other side. Whereas we in Connecticut are trying to maintain a freedom we've had all of these years that's slipping away. We're a completely different scale in the historical cycle than Iran is. Iran has been oppressed for many years, trying to work its way out. We're trying to prevent ourselves from sliding into it. We're in a different side of the Ferris wheel, my man.
Right. Do I agree with that? Again, I think I'm hoping you will develop a refined appreciation of what it takes to create and maintain what we'll call an effective political organization.
Absolutely. It's something that we as human beings have failed to do miserably throughout our entire history, except for the founding fathers.
Yeah, that would be well, no, there have been people, I mean, the history of politics in America, we've got a lot of people who have been very involved in politics.
Well, I think Aaron makes a good point when he says that we're just trained through religions like Catholicism and all the most, we're trained, generally speaking, as a population in sort of a top-down. Our history has been dominated by top-down societies, elitist societies. Our bottom-up society that was founded as a bottom-up society is unique. It's really the only time.
All right. So that said, though, whether it's bottom down or top up, you still need to have, quote, effective leadership. Yeah. People who know how to work with differing personalities, know how to stay on track with objectives, make sure that people show up on time and do what they said they're going to do on time, and maintain a standard of performance. Okay, this call comes from leadership. Otherwise, people are just going to go lollygagging around any way they want, and you'll get nothing done.
But I would still suggest that people that are suffering currently under this regime right now would argue that, yes, you make a good point. Can we just take these assholes down, and then we can figure this out later?
No, you have to have leadership ready to go.
We should so let's allow the evil to persist until we can figure out how to be perfect afterward.
Well, the perfect is not no, it's not about being perfect. Okay.
Okay, let me give you another example. There's a school here in Connecticut. I'm not going to say what it is. There's a school here in Connecticut that's under suspicion of abusing children at a massive scale.
All right, so that's still in the works.
Are we going to let that continue because we're not sure who's going to replace them? No, we're going to take it down today if we can, and then let's bring in the new staff or whatever.
Right. There's a difference between a school and a nation. Okay.
Well, yes, but
it's just, I mean, look,
I'm just of the school of thought that evil should just go down as soon as you can take it down.
Okay. You're going
to wait around and make sure we have the right thing to fix it, place or whatever. I get that should be being done, but I don't think I think the two should be mutually exclusive. Let's take that. We got to take these enemies down and take them out. Over here, we're trying to prepare for something better, but one should not be dependent on the other.
Well, think back to what happened in both
Iraq. I know.
All right. And this did not work. I mean, it was especially bad in Afghanistan. And, people were saying, well, the person who was sort of propped up as the puppet leader for the United States in Afghanistan was about as corrupt as they come.
Sure.
And as a corrupt leader, he was a weak leader.
Well, we could argue, but when it comes to Iraq, I know it wasn't exactly a smooth sailing situation, but what we have in Iraq now is a heck of a lot better than what we had under Saddam Hussein. I mean, not the news. I mean,
No, what you have is because first of all, that Iraq is a majority Shia country.
It's a little different.
They feel more fealty to Iran than to Jordan or to Syria.
Well, I would agree with that.
All right. So then your political structures are going to reflect those religious orientations, like it or not.
But you're right about all that. But I still say don't hesitate with the bombing. Don't hesitate in taking out the mullah. Don't worry about
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't expect, you know.
All right. So this leads to then the key strategic point that I want to beat to death right now. There's a guy, and his name is Mr. Rickards, Rickards. He's a rather smart gentleman, highly respected as a strategic thinker. He is a professor at the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, and he's a pussy. Just saying.
Okay.
So he set it up as three choices. Basically, surrender, stalemate, or expansion of the conflict, as he put it, which is just another phrase for boots on the ground. He considers the last two terrible options. He believes that surrender is the smart option. Now, for what it's worth, Steve Bannon happens to agree with him. Guys, it's like,
wait, we surrender?
Well, you put surrender in quotes. The point is to cut a deal and get out.
We back out, right?
Essentially. All right.
Well, I don't agree.
All right. There's one problem with their point of view. President Trump has made it very clear that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
All right. And they're not going to make that deal. So it's going to be the other two options that way, isn't it?
Right. Well, that's not how he's thinking. So Rickards isn't even thinking about what you're going to deal, how you're going to deal with. I mean, you have to take the position that Iran will never make a nuclear weapon, and that's your basis for, quote, surrender. Well, sorry, we're not there. We are not there. And so what's the other part of this? All right. So then my option is to go to choice number 2, believe it or not, the stalemate. So the point is, stalemates do not stay the
powerful nation in the world. We're going to stalemate with Iran.
Now, hold on.
Go ahead.
The stalemate changes over time. Okay. I mean, think of this more like an arm wrestling match. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, you see we're pushing like this, they're pushing back like this. So this is kind of like a stalemate. But if you watch closely, slowly, we're beginning to get them to give up. Very hard, but to me that's the only real answer, and it reflects the fact that now the Kurds look like they're finally getting their act together, and we're building up the attacks that are going to continue to degrade what the Iranians can do. And
the only answer is the third option: escalate and destroy them all. That's it. Period. The rest of it's not going to work.
Yeah, this is the same thinking that we tried to apply to Afghanistan and to Iraq. Okay, we were successful in Operation Desert Shield, right? 3-day war, and Hussein beat feet, right? But then now we fast forward to 2004. Okay, staged this big invasion, and so Hussein's army was not able to put up much of a fight. Okay, cool. And by the same token, when we invaded Afghanistan, right, that didn't last very long. So now you had, quote, taken control of these countries. So just remember what happened after we took control.
Well, neither one of those is posing a threat to us right now, are they?
Right.
I don't think Iraq or Afghanistan pose a threat.
That's because we got out. All right. Our presence in Iraq is minimal. And no, there are still bombings and attacks on the Green Zone in Baghdad. So no, that whole thing never really ended. And it won't end until we are finally gone, frankly. And so the point is, in each of these cases, both earned us the same prize, counterinsurgency.
But no threat to our well-being in our country.
All right, there is an old saying. Either you visit a bad neighborhood, or the bad neighborhood will visit you.
That's right. I agree.
Okay, that was the thinking. But the fact of the matter is, in the case of Iraq and Afghanistan, face it, we were not successful. Not successful.
Saddam Hussein was threatening us with weapons of mass destruction, and he was talking about death to America. Now he's gone. I consider that a success. Even though we have problems in Iraq, no one's talking about Iraq being a threat to our country anymore. And I would say the same thing in Afghanistan. So I consider them, although not ideal, I mean, Afghanistan was obviously a knee-jerk response to 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's I don't think anybody building any, plotting anything to just knock down any more of our buildings over in Afghanistan anymore that we know of. So I think that I consider both of those to be fundamental successes, despite them not being rousing successes or perfection by any means.
So so when we left that Kandahar airport in the mess,
that was a disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, but again,
how successful was that? I don't
know.
That
was under Joe Biden. That's a whole nother conversation.
Okay, but the notion of success, I think you have a funny way of defining success here, because these countries, for all intents and purposes, have returned. I mean, you could say in Iraq's case, the political institutions are different, and they are more reflective of the population, the way a political institution should be.
That's right.
But these people are not our friends by any stretch of the imagination.
No. And that's a whole other conversation for a whole other night. That the Islamic religion is not our friends in general.
Okay, so all right. All of this said, so the lesson that I think we've learned from these two countries is that we have to develop the domestic political institutions, have them in place, and then cut off the heads of these guys.
No, I don't agree. Cut off the head and we'll figure it out later. But that's okay. Listen, we got to run though. I got to go. I got my my girlfriend's out on the road trying to get her mother home safely, who was broken down in her car. So I have to go check on it. She's not home yet. I got to check on it.
All right.
So that's it for tonight.
Wait, no, there was
one. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. You got last thoughts though before we take off, or
there was one other thing here. Yeah, I was counting on DJ Ricky to be here so we could have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so where I left it with him is that he's supposed to
on the video, yeah.
Get in direct contact with Sam.
Yeah, and they have been.
All right, and then Eric, Eric, I'm looking at Eric. If this thing falls apart, I mean, he's our go-to guy.
Yep.
And I just, I don't know. I think
it'll come together somehow.
Yeah, that I don't like that somehow thing. Anyway.
No, I know. I'm with you. So tomorrow night, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, and we got to move the ball forward on this.
I agree.
All right. Okay.
You guys, thanks for watching. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're also on YouTube, by the way, at Common Sense News and Entertainment. And don't forget to watch Yankee T News, like and subscribe.
Yeah. So, and
we'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock sharp, or close to 9 o'clock sharp. Is that an oxymoron? Close to 9 o'clock sharp to record again. So